everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra and John's Briefs. We're here in the conference room at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale. Come down here and shoot someday. Here with Defense Attorney Extraordinaire Tim Forshey. We had a great video on the channel a little while ago at this point of a couple who turned the table on some carjackers.
Big time.
And I love those videos. They're awesome. Because,
they give you hope, don't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes things work out.
It's, again, a little bit, the only true justice is justice in the moment, right?
Exactly.
And those guys, as we say many times, put the quarter in the jukebox so they get to dance to the song. But at some point, right, they stop being the aggressors. And so I want to ask the attorney, I mean, golly, man, has this couple at some point put themselves at risk for charges?
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
I mean, I want to say, first of all, heck those guys.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so at some level, it's just a little bit of poetic justice.
Sure.
Right? And but we know we live in a litigious society, and it sure seems at some point these guys decided, you know, I don't want this anymore. I would not like to rob you. I would like to leave the area, please.
I have changed my mind.
Yes. And our young couple decided, no, that's not going to happen. You started this, and so you are going to pay retail for this, and whoop them.
Yeah.
With no training.
Right. Yeah, that's the amazing part, because they looked like they did. That one mule kick that guy threw, I was like, holy cow, I would have broken my neck if I tried that. You know, I mean, yeah, no training, scary.
I loved it. And as always, guys, the link to the original is in the description, right? So if you forget it, grab that there. But do you think at some point, you know, an overzealous DA could look at this and go, wait, you became the aggressor?
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, this is in Brazil. Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on jurisprudence in Brazil, because I'm most certainly not. And I can't imagine they're as litigious as we are civilly. I guess they could be, but I certainly haven't heard of it.
I can't imagine it.
So I think it's a whole different, that's part of it right there, right? Justice down there is probably a little different than justice up here, as it should be. It's different culture. But one thing I would want to point out is that, you know, you look at this and you go, well, these guys are unarmed, you know, and when you see these moto guys in Brazil especially, that's a complete, that is an armed robbery. We all know that's an armed robbery. Well, and then we didn't see a gun, so we suddenly assume, okay, this is an unarmed robbery. These two idiots thought they were going to jump two drunks, and that's not what they were getting. But don't forget, guys, just because you don't see a gun doesn't mean somebody's unarmed.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Maybe you haven't seen a gun yet. Maybe you haven't seen a knife yet. So when you decide that, by golly, this guy's unarmed, so I'm going to jump in here. Well, you might learn that he's armed, but you didn't realize it until it was too late to realize it. So
they were lucky.
There was a lot of luck involved here. This could have gone 15 ways from sideways, it appears to me. So, and thank goodness it didn't, right? And they did get the beat down that we're not supposed to say they deserved, but that they deserved. But I guess I want to make sure I caution everybody. It worked out well, but it doesn't always, right? And you know, how many times does it not work out well that we don't have a video, or that John has seen the videos where it doesn't work out well?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So be aware of that, first of all. But to get to your direct question, you know, when did this become overzealous to the point that it could be prosecutable? I think the minute the bad guys try to leave, right? Because you're using physical force to combat a threat of physical force. Once that threat of physical force stops, you can't chase them down the street, hitting them in the back of the head, right? Yep. So the consequences aren't going to be as grave as if you were using lethal force to stop it, but there's still consequences, right?
Well, and I think, given that you were the initial victim, I think you're going to get some benefit of the doubt.
Of course, but at some point when the fight breaks off and you have a chance to stop, you know, the fight, and they're literally trying to run away, and you're chasing them down and pulling them off of the motorbike and beating them some more. In the United States, in the state of Arizona and the state of California, and you know, let's go ahead and throw in race and politics, right? If those are an issue, yes, this could have been prosecuted. You bet it could have been.
So where, you know, when we say, well, where's that line? Here's the problem, right? The problem in the law is that we're always, you know, in this case, we're not arguing about the facts. We know exactly kind of what the facts are. We watched it.
Right.
It's where we're arguing, well, where do the facts fit the law? And there's some interpretive dance there. And who gets the first move in the dance? The district attorney.
I was going to say, everybody says, well, it's a jury question, and inevitably it will become a jury question if it gets to a jury.
Right.
But the prosecuting body, whether that's a DA or a county attorney, whoever it is, they have to decide whether to or not to press charges on behalf of the people of that country or that state or that county. that's the first hurdle you got to clear. That's the toughest hurdle to clear, because if I can talk the person out of filing charges, there's no case.
Right. We win. So this is good.
We win. That's the best kind of win. That's the win that doesn't cripple you financially and emotionally. Right. So yeah.
Only costs you, the price of a decent used car.
Yeah. As opposed to a house.
Yeah. As opposed to your retirement. Right. And I get that. Right. So you don't want to pay that if you're the victim. Right. So I think pretty clearly, if you go, okay, the second, once he decided to run off, I just let him run off and took the win. Well, then you might not even need to really hire an attorney. You probably should, but you might not need to.
Right.
The district attorney or the county attorney, whatever, the investigators may show up and
I would say, and again, this isn't me trying to pay for my decent used car, but I would say that obviously the first important thing, and again, let's translate this into how we do it in the United States, you're going to call the police. Right, as soon as you're safe and as soon as your girlfriend or your wife is safe, maybe you go back into the bar and lock the door and you call the police, right? And if it takes them an hour and a half to respond, you sit there and play rummy until they show up, right? You just wait for the cops. And then if and when you're asked for a follow-up interview with the police or a follow-up interview with the county attorney's office, I think you want an attorney present.
You do.
You do. And that's because, again, spending $5,000 now is a lot better than spending $500,000 later because you didn't want to spend $5,000 now, so yeah.
Oh, well, and I totally agree with that, right? Which is a good reminder. This is why firearms legal protection is important to people. I love having that piece covered, okay? That at least it's not my $5,000. I was spending my $25 a month.
And it's a lot easier for me to bill an insurance company than it is to bill a client. So it just feels better. So,
yeah, it just feels great. Thank you. I did the thing.
It feels like a business transaction instead of a rape job and you're stealing somebody's college fund.
Yeah. Well, and how many times, I'm going to tell you, how many times when it comes time to hire me, that I talk to an attorney and then the attorney says, yeah, I want you on the case. Okay, so send me a retainer. Cool, I got to go back to my client.
Right. And you don't hear from them again.
And you don't hear from them because they don't have another, my retainer's only $5,000, but they can't come up with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we get into the habit of saying it's only $5,000, but to a lot of people, that's 2 mortgage payments or 3 mortgage payments and they can't do it.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. And I, on the other hand, some people are like, well, John, that seems like highway robbery. Why wouldn't you just help somebody? Well, I mean, I have a full-time business to run. And I got employees to pay, and if I'm not doing my job because I'm doing that job for you, I still have all these people to pay, so I got to do the thing. Yeah. And so I have to feed myself too, and so I can't just work for free for everybody. That's just not how it works. It's the unfortunate realities of life. And so, so listen, use force judiciously. Yep. And I loved watching this video.
I watched it like 3 times.
Yeah, it made me so happy, right? Like I was so excited about it, and then at the same time, I'm going, "Ooh, you're putting a lot of chips on the table here for my enjoyment." Yeah. I'm down with that. On your dime.
On your dime, I'm okay with it.
On your dime, I'm okay with it. Like, man, you want to spend 10, 20, 30 grand?
And again, I don't mean to make this sound like the average American that thinks that we're the best country. And I mean, I do think we're the best country, but this is Brazil. And I think they have a different jurisprudence system down there. I think you can probably get away with a lot more vigilante justice there than we can here.
I still think even in some parts of America and even in some places, the he needed killing defense does work.
In Texas?
In parts,
we see the Taqueria case and no prosecution. I mean,
he needed killing.
That's Texas. That wouldn't happen in San Francisco County.
Well, even in Las Vegas, the guy that stabbed the guy that just jumped over the counter and no charges filed, that blew me away.
Yep.
But the DA was like, that guy needed stabbing. Okay, I mean, so that goes down. And I think even in a lesser extent, I've seen fistfights break out and nobody get charged or anything like that because, no harm, no foul. Mutual combat. Or, why'd you punch him in the face? Well, he, said bad things about my mama. Well, I'd have punched him in the face too. And, then he punched you back. You cool, everybody's cool, have a nice day. Yep. You know what I mean? And so that can still happen.
Sure.
I just don't want you to get under the scrutiny because the second you get the criminal justice system pointed at you, that big faceless bureaucracy does not care about you.
And that whole bureaucracy is focused on the point of the spear that's touching your chest. So don't forget that.
Yeah.
You're the focus.
So my reminder, when you win and they run off, let them go. Yeah. Take the win.
Have a great laugh about it.
Have a great laugh about it. Otherwise, we will put the video on active self-protection, we will applaud your efforts, and we will not pay your bills.
Exactly. We will not start a GoFundMe for your legal fees. So,
So thanks for the knowledge.
As always, buddy, you bet.